Echo Fox smashed in day one of regional qualifiers. We'll see if they can keep up a similar performance as they zero in on their opponents today. TSM, who come hot off a victory in Oakland. We'll see if they can bring that momentum from the series as they face Dardoch and the team that took them to 5 games in the quarterfinals. Hello, everyone. LCS fans and Darshan, welcome to the NALCS Countdown, where for 30 minutes we replicate the pros, or rather poses of the pros, and show you what Urgot, or rather why Urgot has popped into the meta recently. Woo! Until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champion Select. It was a mouthful of words, but we made it. Meteos is back.
Welcome back,
for a
dude.
second day in a row.
Good to be here.
It was a quick 3-0 yesterday, so we figured you hadn't done enough work.
Oh, yeah, I knew today's going to be a 5-game series. I want to work more, so I'm here.
That's very convincing. Thank you. Before we get into the day's matches, there was a challenge thrown down yesterday, and we just can't let the question hang without an answer. This or that. Let's take a look.
Honestly, though, other teams have done Ginyu Force pose in other esports as well. This one was the most crisp that I have seen.
You think it's that?
I think it's definitely
You think 5 people doing a pose is more impressive than being the best 5-man team when millions of players play the game in North America?
Convince me I'm wrong, Jet.
The 4 of us and Joel could do that with an hour of practice. We could never win back-to-back splits.
So the gauntlet was thrown, and here's the deal. We tried this with Joel. Took about 2 hours, so we had to sub him out, bring Meteos in as the 5th member. And we achieved it, but just as a reminder, let's take a look at TL's and then the analyst desk version of the Ginyu pose.
Returning to the final to defend their title, it's Team Liquid. Returning to the desk to defend their jobs, the 2018 State Farm Analyst Desk.
I mean, come on, Jet.
Insane.
I think it's just as good.
I think it might be just
It
as
is
good.
more accurate as well.
Accuracy, the reason that they were less accurate was they did it on purpose to make sure the shot looked better. I'm fine with adaptations to make things better.
We're going to continue to discuss, but we do want to get your opinion on it at home. So if you are in chat, please let us know who did it better by typing either 2018 Team Liquid Ginyu pose or AD.
Wait.
One seems a lot.
So one or the other. No. Just entirely fair. We just need to be specific.
Copy paste.
We needed you guys to make.
Control-V.
We just didn't want any error. So 2018 Team Liquid Ginyu pose.
How do you spell Ginyu?
Or,
G-I-
AD.
and you.
So you said Liquid wasn't trying to do the Ginyu Force, they're doing their adaptations. So
No,
next time
they
I
did
lose
the
a league
exact
game,
same.
I wasn't trying to jungle well. I was just doing my adaptation.
Listen, let me tell
Which
you
is
about,
fine,
about art, all right? Like, here's
Okay.
how it works. Sometimes,
Oh yeah, Mark.
Let me tell you about
fill me in.
imitations.
Yeah, teach me, Mark.
sometimes.
All about art.
Okay.
Oh, God. Don't
by
show
the
that
way-
art.
No.
So what
That-
we learned,
all right.
by the way,
It's
is that
so hard on the knee and foot. So hard.
I'm not very flexible when I'm turning around
Yeah.
like that.
You say an hour we could get it down. We spent probably
It was a good 20
half
minutes.
hour.
I'd say 20. Yeah, 20
Yeah.
The
minutes.
2 hours with Joel is just total light. 97%
Woo!
AD. No one can spell
Oh
20
my.
not even.
Yeah,
Ginyu
does
pose.
does that speak more to how much better we were, or how much more difficult, or
A little bit
No,
of both.
definitely.
I want some
we were
control Z,
much
control
better.
V on the Team Liquid
Yeah.
Ginyu.
Wow. I'm
a
really
few
happy
more votes.
with
Now they're
the
copy
audience.
pasted.
Well, wait, no,
That's
dude,
what's happening.
Why would people vote for Liquid? That's going to make us feel bad. No
Right.
one from Liquid's here.
We're the ones
just
on
vote for
screen.
us.
Come on, don't make me
We're
cry.
doing the regional
on air.
qualifier.
So
Qualifiers,
the
they're
thing
not.
about Ole changing his pose, it makes sense because he didn't want to block double lift for the camera shot. That's
Right.
just being
True
heads
support.
up.
So
That's
I
being heads
understand.
up.
It's
But
face checking the
Kobe-
bush for him.
Yeah.
Kobe didn't want to block me in the camera shot, didn't, and still did the proper pose.
And we had 20 minutes to figure it out
So
with
did
the
they. Did you see
camera.
the video? They were doing it backstage.
But
in
they
the
didn't
mirror.
have the camera ops on them the
Yeah,
whole
that's true.
time. We had
That's true.
producers, we had PAs, we had professional lighting getting done with
I'll
us
admit,
as
though,
we were doing it.
Kobe and I holding those lunges after a certain number of minutes did get a little difficult.
I still have a cramp from that.
Yeah, that was
Like,
fun.
it'll be the
You're going
same.
to underperform
And by the
on
way,
the desk today.
the 5 of us could never win 2 splits in a row. So this proves that I was right.
Only
I
the
don't
one
know
of
about
us.
that.
Only the one of us.
Right, one of us has done that before.
Meteos,
fine.
wait, we should just ask Meteos, which was harder?
Which
the
was harder,
C9
Meteos?
back
Yeah.
to back?
The winning the splits didn't hurt my leg nearly as much.
Right, that's what I'm
The
saying.
Ginyu pose is harder, Jet.
Confirmed.
We have the first-hand evidence.
All right,
He's done
gentlemen.
both. He's
All
done
right.
both.
Let's rate it back. And let's get a reminder on how day one played out as we pull up the bracket presented by Jersey Mike's Subs. Yesterday, Echo Fox took a 3-0 over Clutch Gaming, and with it got their chance at a quarterfinal rematch versus TSM today, meaning the winner of today's series will return tomorrow to face Cloud9 as that final boss. With Clutch Gaming's season coming to a close, though, it's time to give a formal departure in RIP Clutch Gaming. It's so much more poignant when it's
They
the
had to
immediate
show
day
the
after.
meal clip.
It hurts so much more when it's the next day and not the next week.
I gotta say, that does add some extra sting, but I'm happy with Clutch, man. We got some good stuff out of them.
Honestly,
They stopped TSM in spring. They engaged with the whole, like, the curse, the line. We had a lot of good memes around.
Oh,
that.
I don't even think they played that bad. Imagine you replace Lyra's smiting ability with Grig's smiting, and I'm pretty sure Clutch finishes first in the split. How many games did they get Baron stolen from them?
That's true.
Actually, there's a rough
One of those
stretch.
games, it was Apollo stealing Baron from Lyra, so it didn't even matter.
True.
Yeah, and they beat TSM. That was one of the best RIP videos, I think.
That was solid. That was super
good.
solid.
Pay respects.
Speaking of Baron steals, though, in Baron fights, eyes are typically on the junglers for the secure or Cho'Gass with their feasts. And then there's the supports who step up and secure Baron just to say, I'm helping, presented by State Farm. In the series versus Clutch, the smite that secures Baron doesn't come from either jungler, but Smoothie's unsealed spellbook.
Can you come, Tanner, and just hit it as 2 right now and let these guys show? Can you ulti it?
I'm going to smite here, so they might think something's up.
It's fine. I mean, me and Tanner are just starting. Just stay showing mid.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just hitting.
They're looking this.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they saw Rizar, maybe.
I don't think they did.
It's fine.
Oh, just defend it. Just defend it.
Gragas is mid with no flash here, by the way. Can you guys just come? Yeah. Gragas has no flash.
They have no idea.
They just put a blue on it. They put a blue on it.
1.2 on my smite, okay?
1.2? Okay.
I'm hitting.
Can you put a ward over the wall?
Are we burning? Look for it.
Yeah, burn it.
Okay. Oh, pop here. Oh, I'm gonna do.
Nice. Stun Gragas.
Yeah.
I'm backing after. Nice.
I can go more if you want.
I liked the communication there.
It was pretty
Picking
cool,
the 1.2k to smite at. The fact that Dardoch didn't get his smite off, but Smoothie was still going to smite at the same time does up their chances. So, got to think about the spellbook. They actually had 2 spellbooks.
Right, there was
Could have had 3 smites.
opportunity for 3 smites.
As a jungler,
Smite
how do
from
you feel about-
2200.
I'm not
all 3.
I will say, in my time of smite steals happening, you remember the meta when top laners ran smite for the Cinderhulk?
Yes.
During the meta of double smite, I swear so many Barons got stolen from double smite teams because you feel like you can't miss it. You're like, we have 2 smites. It's like, it's not a double smite though. Like, you have to factor in the human coordination part. Because like, if you're like 3, 2, 1, go. Like,
You're not dealing
the other jungler is
damage
getting in on that too. He's like, all right, I'm ready, guys. Let's do this. So I don't think it's as free as people like to make it
So
seem.
you think Smoothie deserves a lot of credit for that, then?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Agree.
Come on, man.
1v9.
Doesn't even play the position normally, still secures the Baron. That's a top play right there. On top of the spellbook smite, though, we also saw Urgot in 2 of our games yesterday, and Azael decided to give us a quick rundown as to why this pick has found prevalence in the meta. So Azael, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, we've been seeing Urgot all around the world, not just in North America, in the LPL, in the LCK, and a lot of people have been asking why Urgot all of a sudden. Really, it comes down to the fact that A, Urgot is blind pickable. He really doesn't have any hard losing matchups, and it's not necessarily about destroying lanes. It's about the fact that you can flex it top or mid, and you can also almost always have pressure. You have good wave clear, you can push in your opponents, which is going to unlock your jungler, and you're going to be pretty safe in a lot of matchups. Spellbook also offers quite a lot of utility.
Welcome back to the NALCS Countdown. We're about 6-7 minutes away from Game 1 here. So as we narrow down, we want to break down this series. Not only is this the first time that TSM has been seeded into the regional qualifier, TSM are fighting to prevent themselves from missing their first ever Worlds. Stakes here in this best of 5 are huge.
Yeah, the regional qualifier is an incredibly punishing tournament. It can be the last day your team plays League of Legends that year, or if you win, you get to go to play-in and potentially groups and potentially farther, so you're basically unlocking the right to play the more season.
Right, and this has been a season, for TSM where things have not gone according to plan. They missed their first finals ever. They lose in the quarterfinals of the playoffs for the first time ever, and it's a brutal history-breaking, in a bad way, split for TSM, but I think a lot of that can be largely overlooked if they can complete their kind of run, which starts here today.
All right, well, with today's battle being a rematch of the quarterfinal just 21 days ago, Smoothie feels TSM's win conditions are pretty clear.
They just played all around BXN. They really took really bad matchups bottom every game and picked pretty bad jungle matchups. and just played the condition that Bjergsen will carry later on. And to his credit, he did play really well in that series, but I think there's a lot of our mistakes too, and I don't think that'll happen this time. Hopefully we can get bigger advantages in top and bottom from their drafting, and we close out the game a lot easier this time.
Well, Smoothie mentions win conditions, so that's exactly where we'll start. Let's look back at what we had set out for these two teams 3 weeks ago.
I like Smoothie's hair.
Yeah, you like the dyed hair? That's the new win condition?
Right.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see, because that quarterfinals match was very close, and you heard them talking about how Sven basically took Kai'Sa every game and was willing to lose all the time. Bjergsen had a lot of pop-offs on Aurelia. I'm sure we'll see a lot more focus on that champion in particular in this series getting banned out. And there was pentakills almost 3 times in the series. Bjergsen got one, I think. Sven got a quadra at some point. And
I think there was 2 pentas.
Yeah, there's 2 pentas and 1 quadra.
A Sven penta and a Bjergsen penta. If they get a penta, clearly they win the game. And this 4th game was pretty clutch as well, with Hansar pulling out Jace. I do feel like, even just looking at the champion pools shown in this game, TSM has changed a lot since then, when we saw 4 zillion games in the 3rd place match. So
that's a lot of games.
It's a lot of zillion.
4 zillion.
Quite the evolution. But when we were talking about that quarterfinal matchup, we had kind of pitted the teams against themselves, right? The idea that there's the performing Echo Fox and the underperforming Echo Foe, and how to identify those things. But what I want to track is, what are the differences from 3 weeks ago to now?
I think for Echo Fox, as you look at these two, they're largely still the same. I think maybe Lost has a little bit more flexibility in his champion pool than we gave him credit for, but Demonte still looks by far the best on Syndra and those kinds of champions, which he was doing in the quarterfinal match the gauntlet match they played yesterday that they just won, as well as Huni performing well again. And I think largely these win conditions still hold true.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing I'm looking at is I think that Echo Fox was definitely just in a lot worse form when they played 3 weeks ago. Huni was sick. And the biggest thing that I think Echo Fox is going to have to account for is the mid matchup, because even in their win yesterday, Demonte didn't have that great of a performance. Like, he was doing less damage than Dardoch on Olaf the first 2 games, and then the 3rd game he was like dying to a bunch of ganks. And it seemed like Echo Fox was playing really solid, but maybe there was some vulnerability in the mid lane. So that is TSM's strength. So I think that might be hard for them to get past.
Yeah, and I also think that Echo Fox didn't need to show anything against Clutch. So that's why I think they look pretty similar to what we just showed for good Echo Fox versus bad Echo Fox 3 weeks ago. And if there is a new Echo Fox, we didn't need to see it yesterday, but we will see it today.
Right. Flip side, TSM, we got to see them in that 3rd, 4th place match. And Jat, you already mentioned a very different look for them in that series as opposed to the one against Echo Fox.
Exactly. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we were all about TSM. Okay, if they win, it's because Bjergsen and Hansar had lane pressure, and then they will almost fall into a victory because of the small advantages they've accrued through laning phase. And there's the same issues of, hey, if they're hugging turret, or if Hansar gets down a lane, they can't win. However, I think they showed a slightly different look against 100 Thieves. Towards the end of that 100 Thieves series, they put Grig on more initiation champions. They let him play Camille. They actually showed a little bit more coordination down the stretch. So in those ways, I feel like TSM has improved since we last saw them against Echo Fox.
I definitely agree. I think in that TSM versus Echo Fox series, you saw sometimes TSM would make map plays that put them from behind. There were all those base races in the middle of the split that they would take and just lose games off of them, and I felt like we didn't see big critical macro mistakes as much in the 3rd, 4th place match against 100 Thieves.
All right, so TSM getting a little bit better in the late game, coordination, on the uptick. We'll see if that's enough to push them past, Echo Fox's aggression and whatnot. But one of the things we had talked about yesterday was the idea that with a better performing Huni, how do you attack Echo Fox? Do you decide to also attack that top lane, or do you split the map and attack the bot lane and the inexperience perhaps that Lost has?
Right. If I'm TSM, I think they would probably have more success trying to play through mid, or maybe doing something bottom, and then having Hansar just play the defensive role, just try to absorb pressure, not die to ganks. But I have noticed that TSM likes putting Hansar onto carries, and so I'm a little worried for TSM that if they get into like a carry versus carry matchup, the jungle pressure and just all Echo Fox's pressure might be pretty hard.
Really might tilt it. All right, prediction time down the line. Yesterday, it was all in favor of Echo Fox in a pretty quick series. I have a feeling today might be a little bit more close. But starting with you, Mark, down the line, what do you got?
I had 3-1 TSM. I think we actually saw legitimate improvements over the course of their 15-game playoff run. And I haven't seen as much out of Echo Fox, and the win over Clutch, while nice, didn't, like you say, show anything new. And so I'm still kind of waiting to see where they fall. But if they're at the same level they were at in quarters, or even just a little bit better with Huni not being sick, I still think TSM will come out as the better team.
All right, Medios, what's your call?
I said 3-2 TSM. I think that it will be very close, but like I was saying earlier, I think that TSM will get a pretty big advantage in the mid lane, and depending if they put Bjergsen on either Assassins, I think they'll do well. The Zillion might not go as well, but I definitely think they could get an advantage there.
And Jat.
I gotta say, you're both with TSM, and as Lost would say, whatever, dude, ride hard or die. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
go
God.
Echo Fox.
Really?
Yeah. If you didn't get that reference, please go listen yesterday. Otherwise, I sound like a fool.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very close series, just like I think it's going to be a very close regional qualifier. And I really do think Huni being sick in their quarterfinal was a really big deal. And I thought he played a lot better yesterday. So even if the other 4 people on Echo Fox played the way they did in the quarters and Huni plays to his level, I think Echo Fox can actually take it against TSM.
All right, I said I thought it'd be close. I was still expecting TSM across the board with just like 3-2 calls, but I like it, adding a little spice to the mix. That's the call from the analyst desk. With that, it's about time for us to head out toward the arena, meet our casters, and get ourselves into Champions Select.
Thank you very much, Dash. My name is Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns. Beside me, Isaac Azael Cummings Bentley. We are going to be taking you on the magical journey of this second round of the NALCS Gauntlet to find out which one of our remaining teams gets to go to Worlds. I'm hoping for a bloody one today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. So much on the line for both of these teams. You know, as they said on the desk, TSM has never missed Worlds before. This is the first year they've even missed the finals. They missed both. Chance at redemption here if they can make the run through the gauntlet, get to Worlds, would be a big deal for them. And on the other side, you have Echo Fox, and especially for a guy like Huni, who has had such an incredible career. He was in the World Finals last year. For him to not even make Worlds would be pretty insane.
And the thing is about the Gauntlet, it is such a fickle beast. You can go all the way to the final round. You can take your opponent to 5 games. It does not matter if you do not win. It's all or nothing at this point in time.